After screening, some of the people who came from the Akogi Community Center needed decontamination because their numbers were high. We asked MEXT about why they had hidden the names of the locations. Their response was that they wanted to avoid unfair rumors. It should have been their priority, however, to inform people in the most danger of that danger. Akogi was simply a hole in the ground, and no information could reach it.
How could high concentrations of radiation continue to contaminate Akogi, 27 kilometers away from the nuclear power plant? In late April, Masaharu Okano set out to do a survey of the area. In the car, he took with him a system that consecutively records the time and amount of radiation in synchronization with footage taken from a video camera. The bar graph at the bottom illustrates changes in the amount of radiation. In addition, a spectrum or graph showing the different radionuclides is superimposed onto the video image at 30-second intervals. For example, this red section is the peak of cesium-134 and 137. The first place Okano headed to was the center of Namie-machi, 8 kilometers from the nuclear power plant. This is where the homes of those who had evacuated to Akogi remain. After the accident, all residents were ordered to evacuate. Remnants of the earthquake still remain, as the town is deserted. Surprisingly, there is not much movement in the monitor on the screen. Namie-machi Station, Joban Line. Radioactivity monitored here was 1 microsievert per hour, roughly 1/20th of that monitored in Akogi during the same period. Okano says that in the center of town, where there is a lot of asphalt, radiation gets washed away, which can lower radiation levels.
It's basically between 0.8 and 1 micros, so we can say that it's quite low. I had never expected the level to be this low, so close to the plant.
The group decided to drive along Route 114 that connects the center of Namie and Akogi. Radiation is not high in the center of town. As we move along, the road goes up a subtle incline as it follows a river into a valley. Just outside the 20-kilometer zone, the meter starts to rise, sending the bar graph off the screen. The spectrum is no longer displayed.
30マイクロを振り切りましたね。40マイクロから、40マイクロですね。あ、先生のなりっぱなしということですね、要するに。
もうピーって言っちゃってるから、これはもうオーバーフローじゃない。はい。バーグラフは生きてるけどね。はい。高いですね。やっぱり20キロ圏超えたあたりで40マイクロっていうのはやっぱり高いと思いますよ。原発前が70マイクロシーベルトパワーですので、それの半分以上の地点が40マイクロですからね。
Being the day before entry was cut off to all areas within a 20-kilometer radius, there were many cars with people going home to pick up some belongings. This is the contamination in the valley recorded by Mr. Okano's device. We can see that high concentrations of radiation have settled over an area of 20 kilometers. Mr. Okano suggests that there may be a connection with severe changes in weather conditions in the valley along the river. After the explosion of Unit 1 on March 12th, the wind was blowing in a northward direction. After the explosion at Unit 3 on the 14th, the wind had shifted and was blowing to the south, carrying radiation towards Iwaki and Tokyo. The Unit 2 explosion at 6 a.m. on the 15th was followed by winds to the northwest. Radiation levels in Iwaki went up at 2 p.m. and in Fukushima City at 5 p.m. The radiation that invaded Akogi was likely carried by this wind. The weather suddenly became cold in the middle of the night on the 15th, bringing snow to the valley. The falling snow helped the radiation that had accumulated to settle to the ground where it was absorbed by soil and vegetation. In her diary, Iwakura at the community center wrote that it snowed or rained in the valley 4 days out of 2 weeks. This radiation flowed along Route 114 to Fukushima City, and part of it separated and landed in the village of Iitate. After going through Namie-machi on Route 114, the group turned off onto Route 399 leading north and finally heading up a mountain. This area, where MEX has set up a monitoring post, is also a hot spot. We arrive in the village of Itatemura. With a population of approximately 6,000, 1/3 of the income earners are farmers. Academic researchers from Kyoto University and Hiroshima University had begun studying the contamination here in Iitate at the end of March.
14。いくつですか？14。14マイクロシーベルトパワー。
The research group's intention was to grasp the full contamination scene with the cooperation of the village office. From the main road in the village center, 130 points were chosen to monitor radiation. The contamination was far more serious than anyone had ever imagined.
30。
I can't believe this is real. I am going to monitor the contamination here and record it clearly, so that it will remain in history. That is my job.
Because most of the village is outside of the 30-kilometer zone, it was not designated for evacuation. However, strong radiation was detected. Depending on the type of radioactive material, contamination could last a very long time. The researchers took samples of dirt from 5 areas within the village and deciphered the radionuclides. This is their report, which was made public in early April. A contamination map was created from radioactivity assessed in 130 locations. The entire village had been contaminated. There were differences in the amounts monitored. Compared to the north, the entire southern area bordering Akogi had the largest amount. At every point monitored, cesium-137, with a half-life of 30 years, was evident in the soil. For Iitate village, whose main livelihood is from farming, extended periods of contamination is a matter of life and death.
April came. Although it was farming season, no one was in the fields at Iitate village. Hearing that many farmers were not able to prepare for seeding, we decided to visit some. This is Muneo Kano, an Iitate farmer. When the contamination became apparent, the entire village decided that they would not be growing anything this year.
今はね、水に浸してる時期なんです。でも何にもできなくて。
For this couple, this is the first time ever that they could not plant rice.
つもみのままだよね、まだ。種もみに罪はないよね。本当に種もみに罪はない。これ全部。これもタラの木だから、それに芽が出るとタラの芽になるんです。
Afraid of the contamination, they will not be eating the mountain vegetables.
全部ダメ。
People in this village lived on the abundant gifts of nature that their land provided them. Radiation was poured all over that land.
本当に清流だからヤマメイワナがいるわけよ。それで4月1日解禁なんだけれども、普通なら解禁、本当に地理情報関係で結構来るんだよね。ところが今年は全然来ない。
ヤマメとイワナいるんですよ。いっぱいいるんだよ。いるんだよ、ここに。
天然のですか？
そうです。ここにいるの、ここに。ここの石の中に。日中遊んで夕方戻って。本当にいるんだよ。
もうこれがもうダメなんだ。
The Kanos had reduced pesticides, delivering safe produce to the people in the big cities.
本当に清い水で作ったそのさすのこだわりの。
They can't do that anymore.
結局自然がすべて売り物。まあそういうことで本当に情けない、全く情けないんだ。本当に怒りはもう本当にどこにぶつけたらいいか分かんないけれども、やはり国策だから
おとなしくしてたんだから。
やっぱり当然国当然
一気ができるだけね、あれがあればいいんだけど、農家はいつのようにも弱いね。